Hey gang, Private Jack here, and this is part 8 of the series on how to create a butterfly in Blender and get it into Source FilmMaker. We're going to be talking about weight painting the bones to the mesh, or the mesh to the bones, and basically I got carried away with part 7 and ended up doing an hour-long video. I chopped that video up, and this is part 2 of that video. So let's carry on. And the way that we do this is the antenna. What we're going to do is, let's start with the body. Okay, so the body, I'm going to come into the body. I'm going to select... let's see, that there, move the cursor to selection. I'm going to select that bone. I'm going to move that bone to the selection. Like that. Now what I'm going to do is come back into edit mode on the mesh, and I'm going to pick up that entire tail. Like that. I don't want the wings. Actually, yes, I do want the wing. I want this tip of the wing. Or do I? No, I don't. See, I'm going to take those wings out. Make sure I've got the entire tail. I'm going to go into... Let's see. What's the easiest way to do this? Well, first, before we do this, let's rename the bones. Okay, so I'm going to select armature here. I'm going to select that bone. I'm going to call this body. And I can either do it here, or I can do it on the bone menu here. We're going to call this body. And for naming conventions, I like to, when I have a bone in place, I like to give it a little bit of a prefix so that I know that it's already in place. So you'll see it in most of the actual valve models. They'll have a BIP in front of the bone name. I have a tendency to believe that means bone in place or bone in play. Okay, so this is going to be a bone in play, and it is in place. So I'm going to call this BIP body. BIP body, yeah. This is the bone here that I'm naming. This is my main bone. So I'm going to name that BIP body. This one here is the head bone. So I'm going to name it BIP head. It's in play, it's in place. I'm not going to get into naming the actual antenna yet because there's so many of them. This bone here is the BIP wing, front left, FL. This bone is going to be BIP wing rear left. This one is going to be BIP wing front right. And what I want to do is I want to keep my naming conventions exactly the same so I don't break the relationship between the actual bones. This bone here is going to be BIP wing rear left. And already we've got a problem. Notice how this changed to 0.001. Well, I already have a rear left. This should be rear right. So let's fix that. Come on. And this one back here is going to be bip bone, bip tail. Now for the antenna, it's going to be a real pain because you have to go through and name them all individually. There's no quick way around it, and that's just the way it is. Had I thought about it, I would have named this antenna bone first before I started extruding all of these out, and then it would have just been a matter of changing an extension. But now that I've got it all laid out, what I have to do is I actually have to go through and actually name each and every one of them. So, time lapse, here we go. Okay, now that that's done and we have all our bones named, what we're going to do is we're going to let Blender try to assign the actual bones to... No. I don't think so. Okay. I was going to say, had I left this thing in separate objects, I would be able to do this a lot quicker and allow Blender to try and actually assign the bone structures automatically. But because I now have one object and all the mesh is like close to each other, and Blender wouldn't be able to determine that this wing belongs to this bone, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use Blender to assign vertex groups to the model by coming into object mode. I'm going to select the model first, then I'm going to select the armature by holding down the shift and using the left mouse button. I'm going to hit Control P, and I'm going to create parents with empty groups. What that is going to do to the model is it's going to add vertex groups for each and every one of those particular bones. Now it's a matter of going through the model and assigning vertexes to the particular group vertex groups, which will be assigned to the actual armature. Yeah, you'll see what I mean in here in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the actual model, come into edit mode, gray bands. Where the heck did gray bands come from? Let's delete that. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select the model, go into edit mode. I'm going to select the body, one vertex in the body. I'm going to Control L to select all the vertices in that particular area. Come back into top mode. I'm going to deselect the tip of the tail. And I'm going to come over here to my vertex group. I'm going to find the body bone right here. I'm going to move my weights to 1 and click Assign. And what that does is it assigns a weight of 1 to the body bone for that entire group of selected mesh. Now, down here in the tail, let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that. I'm going to select the tip of the tail now. Go with a C select. I press C. I'm going to select all those vertices there. I'm going to find the tailbone now. And I'm going to assign a weight of 1 to that. Now let's see what happens when I actually do a pose using the tailbone. So I'm going to select the armature, go into pose mode, select the tailbone, and rotate that kind of like that. I'm not really liking that. What I want to do is I want to have a bit of pivot on here by the tailbone. So I'm going to come back out of pose mode, select the actual model again, go back into edit mode. I'm going to select that vertex group. I'm going to find tail. I'm going to decrease that to about 0.5, make it half. I said half, 0.5. There we go. And I'm going to assign that. Then I'm going to come up here to body. And I'm going to assign 0.5 to the body bone as well. Assign. Now when I come into edit mode, or into pose mode, and rotate that, I'm getting that little bit of flex there that I want with that tailbone. Okay, so that's got that done. Now for the head. Down here, I'm going to select the mesh, or the mesh object. Here I'm going to select that tip bone, and I'm going to press Control plus on the numpad, not Shift plus. Let's go back, use the period of the numpad to get us back into that view. Control plus, and I'm going to extend that selection to about there. Get back into 7 top mode. I think I came out 1 too many, so I'm going to use Control minus to go back 1. Maybe 2. Numpad set. Why am I not getting... Oh, I'm in perspective. That's why. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Being in ortho mode helps a lot. Perspective just throws things out to lunch. So I need to go one more. So Control plus to that vertex line there. And I'm going to assign point. Control minus. I want to come back one. These vertices here, I'm going to assign 0.1 to the body bone. assign. Now I'm going to select this edge loop in the head, and change that to 0.5 for the body. Assign that. I'm going to find the head bone or the head vertex group and assign 0.5 for that. Okay, now I'm going to select everything. No, I'm not. I'm going to select a vertex in the head. Press Control L to select everything. I'm going to come here to body. I'm going to press deselect so that that disappears like that. And the rest of this mesh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign 1 to the head. Okay, now let's have a look at that head bone and see what happens here. Rotate. Not really liking that. I think maybe this vertex or this line here, I want to do a 0.75 to the 0.75 to the head. And a 0.25 to the body. The value must equal or should equal 1. Okay? And you can only have 3 bones influencing a vertex. Let's try this now. Rotate. That's a little more subtle. That's better. I kind of like that. The reason why I want that is simply due to the fact that the actual head extrudes past the actual body of the bone, or the body mesh here. So rotate again. That looks okay. Okay, let's do the wings now because the actual antenna are going to be a bit of a pain. So here I've got the left wing bone. I'm going to come out of the armature mode. I'm going to select the top wing. Grab a vertex, Control L to select the entire top wing. And we're going to have a look here at the actual placement of the bone, which doesn't look too bad. Okay, and this wing, we're going to assign the whole thing to the wing bone. So wing front left. 100%, assign, and let's see how that moves. Go into pose mode, come into front view, 1, and let's just rotate that wing around and see what happens. Rotate. That way. Let's come into solid mode, rotate on the Y, yeah, we've got a problem there. See how it separates from the actual butterfly? Don't want that to happen. So we'll Control Z out of that. And what we might do is come back into edit mode on the wing, select that entire edge loop, and assign that 1 to the body. Remove it from the wing. Left, remove. And let's see how that rotates now. Rotate on the Y. Now we're not getting that split. And we're getting a little bit of play in here now. Oops. Rotate Y. As if there's a little bit of muscle rotating that wing. We'll do the same thing for the rest of them. Okay, so grab the mesh, come back in here. Let's grab the entire wing. We're going to assign that to the rear left. Assign the entire one. We're going to grab that edge loop now. Remove it from the left rear and assign it to the body. Now if we grab these two bones and rotate on the Y, there we go. Have a look from the front. Rotate on the Y. Notice how we get that little bit of a split between the two wings. That's a good thing, I think. One is actually working harder than the other. Control Z. Do the same thing with the other wing now, so grab that. Control L. Bit wing front right. Assign. Grab that edge loop now. Remove it from the front right. Add it to the body. Assign. And the same thing for the rear. Control L, left rear, right rear rather, assign 100%, grab that edge loop, not that edge loop, this edge loop. Oh, something happened there, it didn't grab the edge loop. That, there, and that one there. There we go. Remove it from the wing right rear and assign it to the body. Assign. Front view. Those two bones. Rotate on the Y. I'm going to have a look at that rear wing. I might have to move those bones. See if we can get that edge loop. Like that. Notice how the center point, the medium point for the wing is back here. That's where we want that bone. So we're going to cursor to selected. We're actually going to come in here. We're going to grab that bone in edit mode and move that bone back. Selection to cursor. it looks like we've broken the relationship between the X mirror. That's okay. Do the same thing for this one. So I'm going to grab that edge loop like that. Shift cursor selected. Into edit mode, move that bone back, selection to cursor. Now let's have a look at this. Into edit mode. Where did my bone go? Bone, where are you? Oh, looks like we screwed something up. Tab Z. Oh, there they are. Just can't see them through. One way, you want to be able to see your bones through your mesh. Select the bones in object mode, come over here to armature, and turn on X-ray. Okay, let's go back into solid mode. See, now I can see all my bones through the mesh, or through the textures. Okay, so that one and that one I'm going to select. Move the cursor to that. Cursor selected. Grab that bone there. Grab the head. Move that to the actual cursor. And grab that one and that one. Move the cursor to selected. Back into edit mode. Grab that tail. Shift. Cursor selection or selection to cursor like that. Same thing on this side. That one and that one. Shift cursor selected. Grab that head. Selection to cursor. Here. Cursor selected. Selection to cursor. Kind of like that. Now let's see what happens. Pose mode. Rotate on the Y. Come on. Be nice. There we go. Rotate on the Y. That's a little better movement. Rotate on the Y. Rotate on the Y. Front view. Rotate on the Y. I kind of like that. That's good. I think I'll just leave that the way it is. Rotate on the Y. You can fiddle around with what you want your model to actually do. I mean, it's up to you. I kind of like that. Kind of like to have that little bit of a split there between the two wings and then them join again back up here. I kind of like that. Okay, now for the antenna. This is where it gets fun. Okay, first one. Back into edit mode, back into wireframe, grab that first edge loop, and we're going to assign both of those to the head bone. Head, 100% assign. Now, what we have to do is we have to step through each and every one of these edge loops, and what we're going to do is we're going to assign 50% of the actual weight to the bone before and the bone after. What I mean by that is grab that edge loop, This is it, BIP antenna left. This is BIP antenna left 1.01. Why didn't that name change, or did it? Yeah, it did. Okay. So, BIP antenna left 0.5. We're going to set the scale there, and we're going to assign, and then BIP antenna left 1, assign. This edge loop, BIP antenna left 1, assign, antenna left 2, assign, and all the way down the rest of the line. So antenna 2, assign, antenna 3, assign, and now into time lapse. Okay, so now that we've got this set up, let's go into pose mode, and we should already have an armature. Yeah, when we actually assigned the empty groups, it created an armature modifier which assigns the armature to the actual, or the mesh to the actual armature. So let's have a quick look at the antenna now. Okay, so I'm going to come out of edit mode. I'm going to go into select the armature. I'm going to select all these antenna like that and like that. I'm going to hit rotate, and there we go. We've got some funky stuff happening with the antenna. Go left, go right. No, go left, go right. Okay, so yeah, this should be our model completely rigged. BIP body controls everything, the BIP tail, so that we can move the tail around, the BIP head, so we can move the head around, and it just doesn't fall apart. Okay, so that's got everything rigged up. This is an extremely long video, and with that, what I'm going to do is finish this one off here. We'll stop here. There's a couple of other things that we have to do this before we start exporting, and stay tuned for the next video. So with that, Private Jack out.